Okay, so I wanted to just show you a couple things that I do on Nearpod. And really, I just work from Google Slides, create my slides, whatever kind of things I want to create for the kids. Usually, we start out with like a quiz or a warm up, and I want the kids to be able to kind of show me um, their work. So maybe I give them a problem, I don't know, 2x. Oops. But what I can do is when I give them when they have access to the Nearpod, I want them to be able to write on this slide. So what I'm able to do is open up Nearpod, and it's just an add-on, and it allows me to convert this to a slide that they can actually, annotate and write. They can actually upload pictures. There's a couple of things I can do. I can add different things, videos, and I can make it a fill in the blank or do a slide where they're matching. I'll take a poll. And so the quiz here is more like for multiple choice. So if there was a multiple choice quiz, I can make it here. Usually I just write the problem that I want to do, give them directions, solve for X or something. And then I convert it to a draw it, which means the students, once I see the student side, the students will be able to draw on this slide and show all their steps. Um, and then there's a possibility also, I'll show you on the student side in a bit, but there's a possibility also to just add in slides like collaborative boards. I said matching, you can add that activity. So maybe I want the kids to match, I don't know, the graph or something to the equation. So maybe the parent graph is y equals x squared. I think I can do squared, yeah. So x squared, and then I can add an image of a parabola or something. Let's say I pick this one, insert it, and of course, you add however many pairs you want. So maybe I have y equals, I don't know, x to the third or something. And then I can add a cubic. Let's see if that'll give me something quick. I'll say cubic function. And I'll add this one in. And then, of course, you can add as many as you want. And then the pairing's already there because I, created it that way. I hit save, and it just adds another kind of activity into my presentation, into my Google Slides. Usually, my slides that I want the kids to write on, I definitely use Draw It to do that. And then if I wanted to do like a poll, how was your weekend, anything like that, or anything interactive, I'll kind of add those things in. Open-ended questions allows the students to just, I can create a question and it allows them to just write their answer. How was your weekend? Can save it, and the students can, when we see the student side, they'll be able to just type on each of those slides. There's a possibility of actually looking at their library and just taking, already created activities if they mesh up, with what you're working on. So if I'm done, let's say I'm done here, I can go to save and go to Nearpod. And so this is where all your created activities are, or downloaded. If you go to the Nearpod library, some of these things that are more pretty are not mine, right? They're the ones that were already in Nearpod, and I just downloaded those so I could use them with my students also. So the sample that I have here, I can choose any of my slides or any of my presentations. I can choose to make it student paced, which just means I'm going to give them, a link. If you have Google Classroom, you can insert it right into Google Classroom or into Remind. I just give them a link and I say, hey, use this link, go to the Nearpod and watch the video or answer the questions, whatever it might be. Usually the ones I have them do on their own are videos, something like this. You see it says play. It's a little video. Oops. Let's see. I'll just see if we can go through it. It's just a little video that the students, once they hit play, there's usually places where they have to stop and answer questions, right? So it's going through and then it'll ask them a question, they have to answer it, and then it lets them move on and so on as they go through. And then once they're done, it's already submitted automatically. They don't have to do anything at the end. But what I see is a report of, what were their answers. I'll put no here. what were their answers, who answered. It gives me a list of the students. Gives me a list of the students and what they said and who did what and all that kind of stuff. So most of the time in class with the Nearpod, I'm just doing live participation, which means I click live. It gives the students a code to type in. So I just tell them, go to join.nearpod.com, type in the code. I'm going to go here, join.nearpod.com. They'll type in the code and they do write their name or type their name in, but I tell them, just make sure you put your first and your last name so that I can see who's doing the work. Because when I see the report, if it just says one name, it just says Courtney or like Jacob, I have tons of Jacobs. If it just says Jacob, I don't know which one it is. So I tell them, if you want points, you have to make sure you put your first and your last name. And I'm just gonna side by side. So this is what the students see. They can't move the slides. They can't do anything when it's in class because I'm controlling the slides, right? So as a teacher, I just go through and, do my intro, whatever it might be. Here is the quiz. I know it's not on the write it slide because there's nothing here. There's no like ink or anything. And the students will tell me, oh, we can't write on the slide. We can't do anything. Usually I try to delete these slides so that I don't have extra slides in there. But if I forget, the kids remind me. And then I go through and say, hey, you have 5 minutes, whatever it might be for the quiz. Go ahead and work on the quiz. And they know, follow the directions. They show all their steps. And as I'm kind of, doing my watch on the side, I'm able to see everything the students write. So it pops up kind of slowly, but I can see what the students write. And then let's say they, subtract one on both sides or something, I don't know. Then I can say, oh, Courtney, don't forget, we have to do the opposite. When it pops up on my side here as a teacher, I can see exactly when they make a mistake. Don't forget, you subtracted on both sides, but we have to do the opposite. So then the kid kind of sees what I'm talking about. They go and fix their mistake. And then, I can kind of help them in the moment. And after their time is up, they can hit submit. If they don't hit submit, I still see what they have. As long as they've written something on there, I still see what they have. They can hit submit and then wait, if time is not up, or I'll just kind of move them and advance them through. We do have to advance through as a class though. So I give them a set amount of time and then I tell them, hey, if you didn't get to finish up, take a picture of your work, on your paper and then email it to me. Let's say this was something just, not a quiz, but maybe just something I wanted to share with the class. I can say, oh, well, this student, correctly added one to both sides. And what the students see is just the work. They don't see the name of who submitted the work, which is nice because, I can also show incorrect work and it not shame anybody. So then we can talk about it and say, well, what should they have done next or whatever it might be. And I can share that. And then when I unshare, the students get back to their own slide and then they're able to just kind of add more to their slide and do whatever they need to do. Oops. Oh, I have to close this one. And then again, I can just kind of advance them with the matching. It gives them a little activity to do. And usually I'll go through, I usually have this open so they can see a sample and say, hey, make sure, you're clicking on the equation that goes with the correct graph. And once you see the green arrows or the green check marks, you're on the right track. And again, if it's in class, I give them some time to work on it and they can match up what they need to. And then what's nice about the open-ended questions is, again, a student can answer, they can submit, and then sometimes I like to share those answers too, right? So if a student answers, eventually when it hits submit, when it comes on my side as a submit, I'm allowed to go ahead and share maybe that student. If I have a couple of students, I can flip through and just share as many as I see fit, and share the different answers, especially if it's a poll. Sometimes I get I ask a poll question, I can share the graph of, well, most of us said this or whatever it might be. Hopefully that kind of helps a little bit to see what you can do in Nearpod. I do want to show you just I'm going to close this out, just I think I can show you a report. This one's not going to show much because it was just me, but just to show you like a report of how I see their work. So let's just say this week here, if I want to go and see the report of what the students did, especially when I give them quizzes. Of course, I can't really grade everything in class because that's, I don't have time for that. So then I go back to the session, I hit report, and then it gives me for each class that I did, right? I can kind of tell it because it's time stamped. With my draw it's they're all in one section, and if that, oh, I think these were pictures. So if it was, this was not a quiz, but if there was a quiz here, I can go to each kid and just, click on their work, let's say, and then see what they've done. Sometimes I'll have, like if I click here, actually I can close this one. Sometimes I'll have kids say, hey, I took the quiz. Let's say this was a quiz, but I didn't get any points for it. I just take a screenshot of their work and say, oh, this is what you submitted. And the answer is incorrect because of whatever it is. But I can take their work and just kind of show them what they did and show them, where their misstep was to, to help them along and help them do it, better the next time. But generally, that's how I use Nearpod. I use it in class so I can see what they're doing and we can kind of move along together. Kind of runs like I would a normal class, except that I can actually, without hovering over them, I can see what they're writing, and it kind of works out that way. Um, I don't know if I said, but I think I said, you can basically do all this without buying the version. I did buy it because after about maybe 3-4 weeks, I was liking what I was seeing and I wanted to not have to erase the work that I have done, right? I basically, you have limited space if you use the free version, and I didn't want to have to erase my slides and things. And honestly, if you have it, they're all in what is this, in Google Slides, so you don't necessarily need to have them in two places. You could always delete something. Let's say I go here, oops, to free up space. Maybe I delete this one. It asks you if you want to delete it. All the codes will be inactive. You won't have any access to any of the reports. But then when I go back here, it's still in my Google Slides. So if I wanted to bring it up, 2-3 weeks later and use it, or a year later, I can use it and just go to Nearpod. Go to my add-on, go to Nearpod. It's already actually up and ready. I don't need to fix anything. I can just go to save and go to Nearpod, and it'll be back in the Nearpod. That's just if you didn't want to buy the full version, which I'm not really for buying much stuff because generally, especially if we don't know how it works, it's just not a good use of funds. But this one, because I was liking kind of the format and it was fitting with what I was doing, I chose to purchase it. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I hope this answers some questions. If you have others, just of course ask. And there's just tons. I'm new to this. This is my first year even looking at Nearpod. I've never really heard about it until the summer. So just, we can see what works and work it out. Hopefully this helps though. All right. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye-bye.